It feels to me like Arsenal have kept their cards much closer to their chest when it comes to this transfer window. And I think I said actually on my Football First podcast that, was it on that or was it a video I did last week? I can't remember. That basically either Arsenal don't really know what they want to do this summer yet, and they're sort of waiting for the market to dictate that and sales or whatever, or they know what they want to do, but it's just not public. And it feels to me a little bit more like the first option, that actually maybe Arsenal are 100% sure what they're going to do this summer, because I think we know where the holes are in the squad, but there's a few different ways to address them. So that's what I want to talk about in this video, is what to expect from Arsenal's transfer window, because there's some stuff that gets me really, really excited. The old Josh Kroenke quote, be exciting, and Turkish made a great point on Forever Arsenal. Like, if he said that now, I think we'd all really buy into it. And he's sort of said as much. So we'll go into that in a sec. But at the same time, I do think that this could be a little bit of a slower summer, and for Arsenal fans are expecting things to sort of go crazy immediately like it did last season and last summer, you know, on the back of our first kind of failed title race. I'm not sure Arsenal responded quite the same way. I want to talk very candidly in this video about why I think that is, and just kind of give some thoughts on my, you know, that I've just been thinking about. You know, they're just up in here, you know, that are sort of bracing me for a summer transfer window that might be a little bit more of a slog than people are expecting. Let me just start on the positives. First, that Josh Kroenke came out, in fact, before the Everton game, basically saying, you know, whatever happens, we're not standing still. We are going to push, whether we win the Premier League title or not. We are going to keep going. And I love that, because you do have to keep spending money. A lot of people want to keep talking about the money Arteta spent, and it's like, well, yeah, but that's also just accumulated over the many years. He's about to go into his 5th full season. Clubs around us have even spent more than that. He has spent a lot of money, but you've got to continue to spend. I feel Arteta has got most of his spending right, especially the big investments. Ben White for 50 million, Declan Rice for 105 million, even Kai Havertz for 65 million. It's like when you see what he did in the run and you go, okay, fair enough. Like, we're starting to see what you're seeing. So I think the fact that from KSE's perspective, you know, there is a willingness to kind of keep going, keep backing Arteta. And there's probably more resources to do it now than there was before. I mean, before we were spending money not just to add to the squad, but we were doing it by cancelling contracts, not playing in Europe, not being competitive in the Premier League, and we were spending money just to catch up. Now, I think we've got a really good platform to go and add more players. I think the other thing I'd say that's really encouraging is that there have been lots of reports that Arsenal, I think, have clarity on roughly the positions that they want to add to. I mean, we're hearing that they want a left-back, a central midfielder, and a forward of some kind. Now, this gets interesting because while I think there's clarity on basically the areas, if I showed you an 11, you know, that area of the pitch sort of needs sorting, and that area needs a player, and that area needs a player. Like, I think we've got a vague idea, but I think where things get difficult for Arsenal is on the clarity of what these roles are. So in this video where I'm talking about what to expect of Arsenal's transfer window, one of the things I'd say is I think Arsenal, and I think we should expect Arsenal to really move with the market and see what happens. I think they'll have targets. I think they will have preferred players, but I'm not sure that they're 100% sold on what they want to do with them. So let's go through the positions. A left back. Now this gets fascinating because you've got Jurriën Timber, Tomiyasu, Zinchenko and Kiwior have all played left back. Why would we need another left back? If anything, it's probably a centre back we're a bit short. But there have been reports that Timber was actually brought in to play as a right back / centre back. We know Tomiyasu is more comfortable at right back on his stronger foot, though he's good with both feet. And he actually ended the season really well at centre back against Everton. Kiwior is a natural left centre back, and Zinchenko feels like he's so different as a profile to the rest, which makes you think, great, keep him. But at the same time, you know, do you want to go for someone who is a little bit of what Zinchenko does, but a little bit more in the mould of what we've been doing really well? So someone like Hato makes sense, but then it's, do you go for an experienced option or a younger option like Hato? I've talked about it in a video on this channel where I said I'm not sure the younger profiles make a lot of sense for where we're trying to go, but it's hard to know because, you know, if they are quality and if they're brilliant, then it doesn't matter how old you are, right? So the Hato one's interesting because he's also left back / centre back, but he's left footed, and maybe that gives a good balance to all the options across the back four, where you essentially have, you know, Timber, White, Tomiyasu, Saliba, Gabriel Kiwior, and you know, Hato and Zinchenko. But of course, Timber could play left back, so White could play, and you kind of mix it up. So I think Arsenal are figuring out what they want to do at left back. It wouldn't surprise me if they saw a better option like a Diomande or a Mark Gehi, and they go, okay, well, you play at centre back, and Timber and Tomiyasu are the cover at left back too. So I think, like I said, moving with the market. But I think this is more true of what happens in midfield because of one player, and that's Declan Rice. The fact Declan Rice, and actually we chuck Martin Odegaard in there as well, are so flexible in the positions they can play, I think means that with Declan Rice not being sure if he's a 6 or an 8, maybe he is sure. Maybe Arteta's not sure. Maybe the fact that we've seen him play so many different roles this season makes us unsure. But the fact that we don't really know where his future is, and I think there needs to be one solidified position for him to really grow and develop, almost where he ends up is what dictates what we need. Or, like I've said before, maybe it's the other way. Maybe it's whoever we sign dictates that. So, let me give you an example. If we sign Zubimendi, who I think can play 8 but is mainly known as a 6, a sitting midfielder. Experts, let me know in the comments below. I might be wrong. But just go with the example. If Zubimendi is kind of a recognised 6 and we sign someone like him, then Rice becomes your box-to-box. Zubimendi becomes someone who can build up from deep. Rice can press up the pitch. You've got maybe a little bit of flexibility in terms of playing a double pivot with Ødegaard in front. You can do something like that. But what if you go and get a 10? What if you go and get a more creative player like a Florian Wirtz or a Morgan Gibbs-White, and you reinvent Ødegaard a little bit, who's done really well from the left of central midfield at times this season? What if you get a box-to-box midfielder more like a Guimaraes or Locatelli, who I think is really good? You know, players like that. And I'm going to do a video next week, actually, where I talk about the players that I actually want, kind of what my dream window would be, but those are some of the players we're looking at. Then that dictates maybe Rice being more of a 6, but then Guimaraes can play as a 6, so Rice can be an 8. But again, I think Arsenal again are moving with the market, because I don't think they're 100% sure what of 3 potential profiles in midfielder they want. So I think we're going to have to be patient. I don't think Arsenal, and like I said, maybe it's just not public. But the reason I think it would be public is the Rice pursuit was public. The Gabby Jesus pursuit was public. A lot of this stuff we knew about going into the window. We knew who our main target was. I don't think we know quite what we want to do. And so I think we're going to just feel out the market. Is Frankie de Jong actually available? Would he budge on his wages if we need him to? How much do Barcelona want to sell him for? Will Newcastle come down on 100 or 80 million for Guimaraes? Is Locatelli available at all? We wanted him a few years ago. I don't know. I'm just saying names, but I think the fact that there's a lot of questions around the midfield means that it could be a little bit of a slow burner in that position. And unfortunately, I think that's the same with the forward line. With the likes of Isak, who can play out wide and up front, brilliant. But what do they want, Newcastle? 100, 110, 120 million? I'd be amazed they want less than £100 million for him. Mohamed Kudus, great player, can play as a false 9 like he did for Ajax, can play out on the right, out on the left, can even drop into a more midfield position. And he's looked really, really good. I mean, he has taken so well to Premier League football and life at West Ham. That hasn't always been easy this season. Playing for a manager who is criticised for not being the most expansive in his play. Kudus hasn't suffered for any of that. And what would West Ham want for him? Again, I mean, do we want to go into another, bidding back and forth after the Declan Rice saga last year? I don't know. So again, we find ourselves in a situation where I don't know if Arsenal know how they want to approach it. Do we want another goal-scoring winger who provides pace and goals, who can add depth for Martinelli Saka, maybe a little bit more like for like, because Havertz is doing well, he's still got Jesus, Trossard can play false 9, or do we want an out-and-out striker like an Isak who can play wide, or we've been linked with Sesko, who is a younger profile? So again, to keep going into this uncertainty, do we want younger profiles because we're happy with the experienced first 11 we've got, and these younger profiles can add a little bit of something, but maybe aren't expecting to play every week? I honestly don't think Arsenal know 100% what they want to do. I think they've got options. I think they're going to be flexible in the market, but I don't think they've got the clarity going into this market that they did last time. Now, for anyone saying, James, this is mental, they had all this time to prep and plan, of course they know what they want to do. I'm not sure that's true. Because Kai Havertz was an opportunity signing. They didn't, they were looking at Mason Mount and Gundogan, but Havertz became available and they did that deal. So and that was 65 million. That was an opportunistic 65 million pound deal. So I'm not sure Arsenal are going to have complete clarity on what they want to do, and I don't think it would surprise anyone to see them just move with the market and see what happens. Final thing I'll say on all this is that the Euros is going on and Copa America, 2 massive tournaments going on in the summer, and that can delay these deals. Players aren't readily available to always pick up the phone to always talk about deals. They want to focus on their tournaments for their nation. So I'm not 100% sure that that's going to really speed processes up. So in terms of what to expect, here's my overall feeling. I think Arsenal will spend money. I really do. I think they will go big again and there will be big investment, but I don't think they'll break the transfer record. I think they will show ambition, and I think they'll add players, some who improve the first 11 and some who are squad players. And there'll be a mix amongst 3-4 signings, a goalkeeper, a left-back, central midfielder, striker. I expect maybe the central midfielder and striker to improve the 11 and the goalkeeper and the left-back to improve the squad. But I don't expect this to happen quite quickly, and I actually don't expect us to have clarity on these signings for a while. I can see a player coming in the third week of August who we weren't linked to until maybe the end of July. Like, I could see that kind of thing happening. So we might have to be a little bit more patient with this window. But that's just my feeling. That is just an impression I have. I might be completely wrong. I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you think Arsenal will do this summer? How will they approach the window? And do we have to be a little bit more patient than we have been in previous windows? And I just want to say a really big thank you for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, actually hit the links right here to watch more content like this, including my Football First podcast, which drops every Monday to Friday at 6 AM. And I know it's annoying. I am really sorry to have to ask, but if you want to show support to the channel, hitting the like and subscribe buttons help promote the content much more than you could possibly know. Thanks again.